Hey, it's Jorge from Team JVS, giving you my review on Fast 9. This one took me a while to do this review, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Obviously, Fast and Furious has been a huge part of my life. I've seen these movies from the first one 20 years ago, all the way now to Fast 9, which we got to see a little premiere of it. Um, I've had to sit down and really think about it and kind of think about where my thoughts are on this movie and what I think about it. I guess to break it down, the easiest way is in terms of action and stunts and things like that. This movie is a 10 out of 10. This very much reminds me of, in terms of action wise, of the last Mission Impossible movie, where it's just jam packed with amazing action. In terms of the storyline, it does keep up with the movie, with kind of like the story that has been going on. It does tie, obviously, into Tokyo Drift a lot into this movie. Um, but the more I think about this movie, the more I'm kind of torn about how I feel. On one side, I think this movie was great, and it does the Fast and Furious, the whole concept of it just does that so well, and it continues to progress and progress this storyline and the story arc of like Dominic Toretto and all his other people. It finds a way of introducing new characters and still making it feel fresh and out of this world. But then I kind of take a step back and start looking at it, and it's, in a way, this franchise has kind of lost what it started with, which, when this franchise first came out, the main characters, I would say, were the cars, and the actors were kind of your supporting cast. Um and nowadays it's completely flipped, and not saying that's a bad thing. It's just, it's very unique how this franchise has evolved and progressed over these 9 iterations. Um this this franchise does do a few things that, I will be honest, I do not agree with. And you know what, we'll talk a little bit more about this, and then I'll kind of just jump right into spoilers, but I'll let you guys know when I reach that point. Um, so overall, this franchise does some things that I just don't agree with, and that's just from a personal point of view. Um, just how I feel with some of these characters and how I've grown up watching some of these characters, and not just the characters but the cars themselves and how it all relates. um I will say, in terms of progressing the movie, this definitely did its job. Always, when you kind of talked about all these movies, Tokyo Drift has kind of been, for better lack of terms, the redheaded stepchild. They have found a way of tying this one in, where not only do you see kind of what the team was doing during Tokyo Drift, but also what like Hobbs and Shaw were doing during this period of time. So it blends it very well. Uh so yeah, I would say, out of, a 10 points, scale, I would definitely give this movie, from an action point of view, 9 out of 10. And like a fanboy point of view, 9 out of 10. But truth be told, you kind of remove those stunts and those actions and some of the, you know, it's no longer believability. They've gone into that, almost that superhero category. So, overall, I would rate this movie at a solid, 6.5 out of, 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Probably leaning more towards 6.5, to be honest. But I think that has to do a lot with how I feel about certain things. Um, so I'll leave it at that. If you want to continue watching the video, I'm going to jump into spoilers. But if not, I will say, like, subscribe, write in the comments below what you thought about the movie, or what you're expecting. And I would love to kind of hear what you have to say, and what your thoughts were, and if you feel the same way I do, or if you completely think otherwise. But other than that, I'm gonna give you like a 5 second countdown where you can pause this or you can go away, and we'll do a 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. Spoiler time. I gave you guys warnings, so don't be ashamed if you listen to stuff you don't want to listen to, I should say. So here goes. A lot of the stunts that they do in this movie, for a movie, are fun and dandy, but at the same time they have become so unbelievable that it no longer gives you that raw feeling. Um, a movie that comes to mind is like Baby Driver. Those scenes that were done with that red WRX, very believable. Things that you can literally do. In this movie, in one of the first scenes, you see Dom in his classic Charger. It's a new Charger this time around. I think it was like the Hellcat, the wide body Hellcat, if I recall correctly. But you see him going, and it's this scene where in the trailers they've shown it where he kind of hits that post, and that post kind of drags him across this giant, basically gap between two land masses. Um, so from a car point of view, what axles were on that Dodge Charger? Because I have split axles at a racetrack countless times, and to be able to fling a car that weighs like 4,000 pounds across like this little valley, and that car axles are perfectly fine. I just want to know what axles those are. Throwing a car in space. Once again, the unbelievable stuff. Just some of the stunts were just unbelievable. I will say though, like the whole magnet scene, where they had that truck with the magnets, and like zooming by stuff, and all these things that are metal getting attached to the magnet, very cool. But something that doesn't happen is magically, like, all these bicycles and all these things are getting like stuck onto this box truck, but not one person is hurt throughout that whole time. And even Tyrese's character in the beginning kind of, it reminds me a lot of Deadpool, where you kind of go into like this fourth character, into this fourth dimension, where even he is like, have you noticed how we never get hurt? We never get a scratch on us. And you see that throughout this movie countless times. Like Vin Diesel jumps out of a truck that's rolling and not a scratch on him. Countless characters get flung into the air or jump out of a car and land on another car and perfectly fine. So the stuff that's becoming unbelievable is, for me, hurting these movies. From a personal point of view, and this is probably one that I don't know how many people will feel this way, but I definitely felt it. So I wish they would kind of figure out what to do with Paul Walker's character, Brian. Um, what I mean by that is he's not present in this movie, but they mention him a lot in this movie. And at the end of the movie, supposedly he's pulling up in the R34 Skyline, which I get, and that was a cool kind of like cliffhanger the way that they ended it. But you need to address what's going on with him. And main reason I say that, so for me in this franchise, whenever you see an orange Supra, like that's a one-to-one link with Brian's character. And when I saw Hans driving an orange Supra, at first it was like, okay, maybe he's taking the helms of, kind of Paul's place. But you kind of look at it and you're like, wait, but he's still alive in this universe, in this cinematic, world. So for me, just seeing them drive that orange Supra, at first I was a little disappointed. And then throughout that like final scene, where they're, taking down that armored vehicle, then you see John Cena kind of hop in it, and his character, and kind of go through there. And that's kind of what lost it for me, because I know with the previous Fast and Furious, they were kind of hoping that Scott Eastwood, or yeah, Scott Eastwood, I believe his name, that he was going to kind of be that new baby face, you know, like good guy who knows how to drive and all that, and that kind of didn't line up as they wanted it to. But then you put John Cena in there, and once again, it kind of, that whole scene, that's all I was focusing on, even though it's a great scene, but it's, you kind of look at it and you're just like, why, like, out of all the colors in the world, like, why choose an orange Supra? And I know some of the people that I was seeing the movie with and screening with it, you know, one of them thought that, you know, that orange Supra looked like Han's RX-7 that got destroyed. And yes, it did look like it. And you know, that RX-7 with the versatile kick, like, yeah, I can see the resemblance, but once again, that orange that was on that RX-7 was a very different orange that was on this Supra. And that Supra had the same, you know, orange as the first Fast and Furious Supra, which, you know, it, once again, it's just touching on like personal things. But another part that I found just so incredibly odd or weird is, you talk about family throughout this whole series, you know, from Fast and Furious 1 all the way up to now 9. And family is this central point. And to this whole time have not only Dom know, but Letty know, Mia know that they had a brother and they never talked about him at all or mentioned that there was more family. It just it didn't feel genuine. I do wonder, obviously, with, you know, they're making a 10 and 11 coming up with this, like how they're gonna use John Cena's character, how they're gonna integrate what's his name, The Rock, and also like Hobbs and Shob's character back into it, like how they're gonna integrate all this, because I think that's going to be very interesting. For me, I think obviously I took some of these things a little too personal, but that's just because I'm invested in these movies. But yeah, the Supra being driven by not only Hans but also um John Cena's character, I wasn't a fan of that. I also thought it was a little bit of disjustice, you know, kind of the Tokyo Drift crowd. Um, how realistically how little they had to play in this movie. Um, it would have been nice to kind of see a little bit more of them integrated into the team a little bit more. Um, but you know, kind of technically their only buy-in was through Dom, so I can see that separation. But hopefully in the next few movies that kind of changes up a little bit. I will say, like, some of the stuff that I love, like Tyrese and Ludacris, like they need to have a spin-off movie, show, anything with just them two. Like they play off each other so well. That is a casting that, you know, they have killed it from basically Too Fast, Too Furious is when they all kind of got met up. But since then, they've just been such a dynamic duo that, you know, you really don't talk about too much. Um, and even you know, like the women in this, like Letty did a great job, Mia does a great job. Like there's a lot of high points in this, but for someone who is really embedded into this, you almost wish that they would take away all these like crazy impossible stunts and card things and just almost go back to like the grassroots of things, instead of becoming this, you know, Mission Impossible Avengers type of crew, just becoming a normal street racing crew again. Or you know, even if you're getting your life legit, like just talking about that aspect of it, and progressing the story that way, you know. But yeah, but that's kind of my thoughts. I know this has kind of been a little bit long, but let me know what you think. Let me know if anybody even picked up on that orange Supra thing, or if I'm just over analyzing that. But would love to hear what you guys think about it. I would definitely still recommend seeing it. If you've watched 1 through 8, you're doing a disservice to not watch 9. I would definitely would not put this one up in my top 3 of favorite, you know, ones from the franchise, but it's still a solid movie. You know, I still enjoyed some of the action, and the comedy in it obviously was great. But yeah, but other than that, this is Jorge from Team JVS, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.